It's time for a brand new character pass and a new season pass and a new direction on which they can go for this game for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3 if we get one. What are some of the characters that you guys like from this pass? We're going to talk about 6 different characters. Turn the music down a little bit. So you guys will be seeing this Saturday for this live premiere. Welcome to the live premiere, and you can chime in on some of the characters that you would change in this pass and some characters that you would like to see for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3. Again, I don't know if we're going to end up getting one because considering the things that have changed. So we already got 2 different games. Maybe we'll probably end up getting something else. Maybe they'll try to come out with a different fighter, like DreamWorks, for example, that might end up getting a release next year for 2025, considering the fact that they now have access to the Looney Tunes license, DreamWorks characters, and things like that. We have Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports. We have DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing. What's stopping them from making another Looney Tunes game, and what's stopping them from making a DreamWorks platform fighter, which they might end up trying to do? Maybe a different team or a different publisher might end up picking it up. Maybe anything can happen, because considering the fact that we got the Patrick Star game, that's from a completely different publisher and a completely different developer team that ended up coming out with that game. So all things new came about when the Patrick Star game came out this year, which was great. I really enjoyed it. And now we're already getting a new SpongeBob game in 2025 that's been teased by THQ. So we're going to be able to possibly end up seeing more of that maybe this month before the year closes out, because Cosmic Shake had its actual trailer be revealed in December, and it had a January release date. So maybe this game that they're working on might end up having something similar that might end up happening. But let's start talking about all things All-Star Brawl 3 and seeing if we can possibly end up getting one. Maybe. What do you guys think of these 6 characters for this giant pass? It's all different characters from different worlds and different shows. I would say only two shows that are already represented from this pass that you guys could see, where you guys click and check on this season pass. Let me know what you guys think of these characters and what do you think their chances of getting into this game are, and maybe one in particular might end up having a minimum less likely to be able to get into the game, depending on what you guys think. And for me, I also added a Nick Jr. character, but it leaves the big question. We don't know what's gonna be, what the future is gonna hold for the game. Who's gonna be able to pick up this project? Who's going to end up developing this game? And if we do get one, what is it going to play like? What characters are going to get cut, if any? I personally don't want to see cuts, and not just like I was saying before, characters like Iroh did not even need to be in this game in the first place. Characters like Zuko needed to be in the base roster. He didn't need to be behind a paywall. It's a lot of changes that need to be implemented when it comes to the roster, because this roster itself for this game has negatively impacted its sales when it comes to people being convinced on whether they want to support the game, and they just immediately got turned off seeing some of these characters get added, some of them characters specifically. And I want to also put emphasis on characters like Iroh and Rocksteady that really probably pushed most of the players away once they seen the DLC get revealed, once they seen the season pass. This pass that I came up with for this video today, I just think will actually be able to sell, because it's all different types of variety. We got a cut character, a returning cut character like Michelangelo. Just for starters, let's start talking about this. We got characters like Michelangelo that have been cut from this roster that don't even exist anymore, and that's in the Shadow Realm, and that's stuck in this realm of darkness where we don't even know if he's going to be able to make a return. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3 needs to have everybody return from the first game and all those other characters that have been cut. The 11 cuts happened with this game. 11 cuts, 11 new characters from Raphael and Donatello, Squidward, Plankton, El Tigre, and Jimmy Neutron, and so much more got into this game and added. I love seeing these different reps, especially Ember, one of my favorites to play in the game. And then Jimmy Neutron, he's not from a new show, but he's a new rep who should have been in the first game. So we have the 11 represented new rep characters that took the place and took the slots of the 11 cut characters from Toph, Lincoln, Loud, Helga, Leonardo, and Mikey, and all the other ones ended up getting into the game. So Jimmy and the other characters, etc., ended up taking their spots. And then, unfortunately, just like I ended up spotting, when you just realize it when you take a look at this roster, it's only 2 new shows that got in. We only have 2 new shows, which is not really ideal for a game that was supposed to be advertised as bigger and better when there were so many things and changes. So many changes went down and we lost so many characters that people wanted to see. And when I heard about this game coming out, I thought we'll be able to do the Ninja Turtle showdown with all 4 of the TMNT members of the squad, get the full squad up in here to really be able to fight each other to find out who's the best Ninja Turtle and who maybe could probably take that new leadership role. You know what I mean? So it'd be cool to see that. I wanted to do that for this game, for these character requests I like doing when I'm streaming the game, for everybody picking characters that they want to see, battle it out and things like that against the CPU. The CPU and the AI didn't really turn out to be all that great. So let's just continue on with this. With all these changes and these characters in this season pass, I think would sell, and it will also be able to attract players because it's different worlds. It's all new shows for the majority. 4 new shows and then 2 already represented shows that's already in this game for TMNT. Not just Michelangelo. Just because you see Michelangelo right there, that's just not going to be the one and only turtle to return. I'm not going to leave Leonardo out in the darkness and leave him out in the shadows. He needs to be able to return for the next game, and everybody else that's missing from all the other 11 cut characters, the other characters that were cut outside of Mikey, is 10 other characters that's still missing from the first game that did not make it back in. Some of them did, like Powder Toastman and Hugh Neutron, but they got changed. They're stuck in the story, and now he's by himself. And then Powder Toastman himself is a merchant. Ren and Stimpy is the only rep that we have that's a playable character. It's a whole different scenario and a whole completely different ball game when a character is an NPC. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that they're playable. They have a different role and they have a different sort of a sort of change that has been implemented with that character. It's different when you have a playable character like Jimmy Neutron and then Hugh Neutron, who was playable from that successful campaign from the first game, who did not make it back as a playable character, as a playable fighter to be able to join Jimmy Neutron. I wanted to do that showdown also, but we can't do that. So we got to play this waiting game all over again, and we don't know what's going to happen next and what we're going to get for the next title. They might even just do something else. So Mikey, we wanted to start with him. I wanted to just, when I'm creating these little season pass and things like that, these character packs, I always want to bring at least one cut character into it to be included, so that way it brings that light of bringing back some of those characters that have been changed and that have been moved into the background, like Helga, for example, who's stuck in the background, but we got characters like Mr. Krabs who opened that door because he's a background character in the Bun Wrestling Ring stage, but he became playable as the first DLC. That was a smart move. And now it's just unfortunate that we're not going to be able to see Lincoln and all those other characters return because this game doesn't seem to be getting any more characters. And speaking of the Loud House and characters like Lincoln Loud, let's talk about a new Loud House member that some of y'all want to see so badly. Lori, I decided to add her, but there's so many other Loud House characters that could be ideal. There's so much fighter potential when it comes to the characters of the Loud House in the show, and it's so weird to see Lucy make it through the fire and flames, but Lincoln did not survive. He didn't make the cut, and he's the main show. And he was some icon for a Nicktoon alongside a SpongeBob. Lincoln Loud himself didn't even make it into the game, which is shocking, and there's still a lot of people that is a little bit upset about that, and it stopped people from playing, seeing that Lucy Loud is the only rep. It's not just about the Loud House. It's not about just having Loud House characters stack up the roster. We got to get a lot of other shows to be able to support this game and to build the roster up, because when the same shows continue to get represented and there's no variety and there's nothing new for new shows and new worlds to get included of the game, it's going to suffer. It's not going to sell, and people are going to lose interest, and they're going to move. They're going to move on, and they're going to leave, and they're going to play a different game. That's what happened to this game. So characters like Lori will be ideal. I think a lot of fans out there will like, and I just wanted to mix it up because I added other Loud House characters beforehand that I created movesets for Lynn, Luann herself, who's a prankster, and a jokester who could play, who likes to play tricks on the her siblings and things like that. She'll be fun to play as. And then I also did a moveset for Luna, how she could play another fellow guitarist and musician. I would love to see Ember meet Luna, and they can really have a showdown if they can add unique interactions between them. But I don't know if that's possible, because some of y'all say it's something that goes on with some of these characters that Aang probably wouldn't talk to Garfield, and Aang wouldn't say anything to Jenny, and Jenny wouldn't say anything to Ren and Stimpy. Jimmy Neutron wouldn't say anything to Rocco. It only seems like when it comes to this game, which I like, shows or characters from the same world will talk to each other. Obviously with Raphael and Donatello, when they run into each other during the story or the single player campaign, they'll talk to each other. But if Raphael runs into Iroh or anyone else, for example, from a different world, SpongeBob, for example, he won't say anything. They're just limited to 2 lines. So I hope that they will make those kind of changes. So it's a lot of different things that they could do when it comes to the Loud House with different options. They have all the options in the world. And let's back it up to the story, to the stages that I want to bring up, because we have 2 Loud House stages, but 1 character, which is crazy. That's why some people were speculating that it must have been 1 new hidden Loud House character, which we never end up getting, that would be included in this game when this game first got revealed. I was thinking that it would be a new Loud House character. It would be Lincoln and Lucy, obviously, but I thought someone else was probably going to appear for this Loud House castle. No one is really representing the Loud Castle, because Lucy's stage is the Royal Wood Cemetery, considering her personality. That's her stage. It made it back from the first game. The Loud House itself is gone. We got the Loud Castle. Correct me if I'm wrong if it's from the movie, because I haven't seen the Loud House movie. But it's nice to see it. I like the music and things like that. With 2 new two different Loud House stages, it's a lot that could have been changed. And Lincoln Loud is stuck in the castle. It's like he Princess Peach, just stuck in the castle. He needs to be rescued all over again. But he needs to be rescued and brought out of the shadows to become playable again. He deserves to be playable, and they could go a Loud House, which I thought they would do if we got a second DLC or a second wave or a part 2 or a season 2 and what have you. A new Loud House character was definitely going to be guaranteed to get in for a season 2, but I just didn't have any idea who they would pick. So I just added Lori in as a wish list for something different, just to change it up. Now let's move on to our next character, and let me know what y'all think about Lori, or maybe some other people might have a different Loud House character in mind. I do want Lola and Lana to get into the game. It'll be awesome to see them too, to be able to get in. It's so many different options. So something different with the big mystery. What do you guys think of Nick Jr. characters being in this? Most people out there are saying Nick Jr. characters don't belong in this game, which are fine, but I see fighter potential in Nick Jr. characters. I'm one of the ones that say it, that says it and sees the fighter potential, and I wanted to get an ideal fighter like Nella the Princess Knight. So with her sword and things like that, how could she play? She could definitely be an ideal fighter to get in, and be an ideal Nick Jr. rep to get in. They'll probably get a couple, but just being realistic, from this DLC season pass, I think she would probably be the one that would be unlikely compared to everybody else that's in here from the 6 characters that we have from here, or 7 basically, because it's a duo in the mix, or 8. But it seems like Nick Jr. characters, I would say, belong in a racing game like Nickelodeon Car Racers 4, for example. If we get that game, maybe they can do a Nick Jr. racing game. See the title that we got this year? If you haven't heard, we got Nick Jr. Party Adventure, which was a pretty good game, and I enjoyed playing that. See the crossover? We had all those different shows: Dora, Santiago, Blue's Clues, and You with Josh and Blue. And then we had Paw Patrol and all those other shows that got involved in that game, and Blaze and the Monster Machine, I believe it was called. Things like that. All those shows, we had a Nick Jr. crossover party adventure. Almost like a little bit of a platformer, but it played so differently. That was the first ever Nick Jr. crossover video game that we end up getting. So maybe they can go as far as making a racing game with characters like Nella getting to get involved and being featured into the game, and maybe some other characters like Blue, Dora, and many more can show up. But we don't know what direction they would go. But Nella would probably wouldn't be able to get in. but I think she would be a great addition to really be able to fight and represent Nick Jr. Because I don't see them going more than 3 characters. I don't. They'll probably just go maybe 1 or 2 characters for Nick Jr. probably get in, and then they're not gonna probably be able to get anything else. They probably wouldn't be able to get them in. They probably wouldn't even allow characters like them to be able to get into a fighting game, fighting amongst each other. You know what I mean? Because it's violence and things like that. They will belong in a racing game. So maybe Nella belongs in a racing game instead of this game, instead of a platform fighter, something like that, or a brawling game. You know what I mean? A fighting game in general, these characters probably wouldn't be able to get in. But maybe anything could possibly end up happening. Maybe they can do something with them. They could probably be assist characters. They could probably add some of the stages. So it's still some kind of idea. So even if they can't get the characters in, they can probably add the stages as some kind of representation for the Nick Jr. worlds out there. Now, there's not many duo characters in this game. As you can see, Angry Beaver's Daggett and Norbert, and then Ren and Stimpy from the OGs from the first game who already made it in, who's not new, but they play differently, which I like what they did. Daggett and Norbert are the only two the newest duo that made it into this game. Take a look at the roster. There's no other duo that you can really be able to think of. Karen, I thought was going to be with Plankton as a duo, but she's just part of his moveset. Just like he plays how I thought he would play. Just as I thought he would play. Karen being part of his moveset. But for duos, I went with Henry and June, an underrated show like Kablam. If you grew up watching this show like I have, I really love this show. Kablam is one of my all-time favorite shows. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody's really talking about this stuff. No one's talking about these kind of shows with some of these characters that could be able to get into this game to really be able to shine. Anybody in here? Anybody in the chat watch Kablam? Or if you heard of it? And they have different variety of different shows that can be able to get into the game. The Flash, that I would like to see, and many others. I forgot the other characters because it's been so long since I watched it. It's an old school show. Someone told me that there's something going on with the rights and licensing, but it still has a really good chance of getting in. Maybe someone in here can probably clarify what's going on with Kablam and who actually owns it. Because I think something's like, someone said it was like a toss-up between some kind of complications. I'm not sure, but it's not the Timmy Turner situation though, at least. So Henry and June, I put in as an old school little 90s Nicktoons cartoon that I loved watching. There's so many great characters in this show, in this series for Kablam. Henry and June is one of my favorites, and I think they would belong together as a duo. They get along well in the show, and I think they would really be fun to play with. Let me know what you guys think about these characters. And then these final 2 shows, Rudy, we need more shows. These are shows that people want to see, not even just me. Rudy to Booty, he can fight by himself. Snap doesn't need to be a duo. That's just my honest opinion. Rudy he has the chalk. He's got the chalk. The magic chalk where he can draw just about anything and create anything. It'll make his moveset potential just insane. It's just limitless because he can create so much stuff with his chalk. He can get protection. He can be able to save himself and draw something, like Snap says, from the show to really be able to break his fall. He'll be a lot of fun to play with. We need new shows like Chalk Zone getting in that people wanted to see and who've been dying to see Chalk Zone to be able to get some kind of representation in these kind of games. This is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3 can be the game to bring the characters that everybody wanted to see and have been waiting so long for and waiting for years to see these characters get involved in these kind of crossovers. And just like other most wanted shows, Fairly Odd Parents and Chalk Zone, just combining these all into one, there's so many different potential for new characters. So I went with Devino with his fairy Perry. So I think that'll be something that people will want to see, some kind of iconic villain that people want to see get into these games. People want to see some of these characters to really be able to shine because they're tired of the same reps getting into the game. So we want to see new characters like Dev Demino and many others from Fairly Odd Parents. I don't want to settle with just one show. There's other shows that can really be able to get into this game to really be able to shine. So that way it's a good variety, and there's other shows that can really be able to shine. People want to see these characters get in. So these are just a couple new characters just to stack up the season pass, just for something different for the series itself. And you guys can be able to pick the characters that y'all like the most. Maybe you'll change some of the characters that you want to change and things like that. Maybe some other characters will probably be able to get in for new shows that people want to see. They got all the options in the world, and the fact that they're just selling with just 4 different shows, 4 of the same shows, that was their biggest mistake. See where they are now? They're in this, they're just in this infinite loop, and just like I was saying before, it's deja vu all over again. Because now it's the big question: what's going to be the next thing that they go for? What's going to be the next direction? Because there's no sort of evidence of what their plans are. They haven't tweeted. They haven't said anything. So Iroh had an August release date. We don't know what's going on. I think my mic cut off, but hopefully y'all can be able to hear me. But anyway, but what I was trying to say, just to close this out, there's all types of different characters that people could be able to see. This is live premiere anyway. But anyway, I just didn't want to start over. But there's so many characters. If you guys look at this roster, it seems like it's the bare minimum when it comes to it. It just seems like there's so many things that's missing. See this? I just want to do this one more time. They got all the different. See, it's only one person. There's 3 players. There's nothing else. We don't have any news, and it's basically over and done with now. What was gonna try to go? You see all these different. It's just it could have been more, and it seems like it's just short. It's just too short of a game for the roster itself. There's very little. There's very little to go off upon, you know. And there's not much really else that we can really do but just play this waiting game and just see what's next. Rocksteady could, well, Rocksteady not the last character. Iroh was our last character. There's so much more that could be able to get into the game. We don't have any options, and there's nothing left as far as new content, and there's no excitement. Without any excitement, nothing to look forward to, and no communication and things like that, people moved on. That's why people are playing other games. There's so many good games that's coming out. The year's not even over yet. We're about to get ready to get into the Game Awards to look into the future to find out what's going on. And it just sucks that this game doesn't seem to have anything to go off for as far as the future, because we're just in the same spot. And just like I was saying before, this is the Rocco situation all over again. This is the Rocco situation where we're done with the DLC and we don't have anything else. See the 6 characters that I added? Even without Nella probably not being able to get into the game, someone else could replace her and get another rep or a new show. They're all new shows, 4 of the new shows, and then 2 characters that they can really be able to do. They can come out with some of these characters that can really be able to belong. Black Plasma should have been playable in this game. It's just sad to see all this stuff happening, and now it's about to be squandered. The hype is gone, the momentum is lost, and everybody's just quiet. No one has really anything to really look forward to as far as this game. Because guess what? They're talking about the next game. They're not talking about this game anymore. They're talking about the future. That's the key. The future of what they can do better. What they can do. How many times do you want to keep on starting over? You don't want to keep on starting over and over and over and over. You want to have a good game that you can have continuous support for, so people can keep on playing and look forward to the future. But then they don't have anything to really look forward to, and it just grinds to a halt. And we're all just looking at a brick wall now. Because there's nothing when we open up that door, there's nothing behind that door, because there's no new characters that can get added anymore, and a lot has changed with the situation for this team and for this game. and it's affected it in a negative way, and it's just not. It's still fun to play, but it's not anything else to really do in this game now. Just fight each other and things like that. That's it. There's nothing else that you can really do for this game. What's some of the characters that y'all want to see get added into this game? And we don't even know if this is going to be behind the same team anymore. Somebody else might end up getting this game. Somebody else might end up picking this game up and deciding to do something else with Garfield, SpongeBob, Plankton, Jimmy Neutron, Raphael, and Aang, and all the other characters that y'all see on the screen. I never get tired of seeing this title screen because it looked so great when it first got revealed. It was just all this good stuff that they had, and I thought this game was going to be so much better. Of course it's better, but it's just, it was lacking a lot of stuff because of the characters. We got the campaign, the crossplay that I wanted. I wanted the story mode better, so much more than anyone else out there. But now it's back to square one again, and we got to start all over again and figure out a plan and see what else is next. We don't have a plan. We don't have anything to really go off of because we don't know what else is going to happen with this game if we're going to get one. There's no more news for this game. I was ready for that in the last cup of tea. He had his last tea. He had his very last drink. That hot cup of tea. Hot cup of tea sounded good right now during this winter season for the holidays and the bitter cold. But that's what's happening to this game. That's what happened now. Got the cold shoulder now. You're not gonna get nothing else. There's nothing else. He had his last drop of his tea, and it's messed up to really be saying that. But it had its run. It had a great start. They had all the tools to really be able to get everything that they wanted. Everybody was playing this game and talking about how it has such great potential and all the different possibilities of the characters to be able to get in. Now it's over. Let me know what you guys think about this season pass. Maybe I'll do some more if you guys want to see more of these different season passes of different characters for DLC. Not even just with DLC, but just iconic characters that could get chose and picked up to join this roster, to make this roster a little bit better than what we have now. We can have everybody that's in here and all the other characters that are missing, that were cut, to return, and then we can be able to expand on what we have. We don't need Fire Nation Rev stacking up. We don't need his family just coming up in here, just taking all the slots. We got to figure out what kind of shows that we can really be able to get, and they have the access to these great shows and all the shows that people want to see, like Rock Paper Scissors, that's doing so well and that's really successful. People want to see these shows, and they want to be able to make them so much better and make the game bigger and better, so it'll keep on going on, and they don't have to keep on starting over. I'm tired of them starting over. And it's just been a constant thing now with these games. They come out and then they'll go on for a couple months and things like that. This didn't even hit the 365 for a year for content, and they said that they had plans for the game after the conclusion of the DLC. The DLC concluded in August. We about to hit the New Year's now. What's going on now? But oh, wait a minute. It's not the same anymore. Those plans got changed and they were shot down. So I don't know what's going to be next, but I hope if we do get one, we can be able to get more of these characters. If you guys have, maybe I'll start doing some season pass requests with some of you guys that want to see certain characters, and I'll create them. But I like mixing them up myself to make them less predictable. So there's different shows that I want to put together that people don't really expect to see for the next video for these kind of DLC packs. So I'm going to start making more of these for All-Star Brawl 3 going forward if you guys want to see more of them. But I hope y'all enjoyed the premiere. Let me know what you guys think of these characters, and maybe some characters that y'all want to see next. Make it possibly into the next game, or maybe a new crossover if we get one.